Funding for the Maddy Report is made possible by grants from the Spencer Family, Community Health System, Harris Ranch Resort, Producers Dairy, Valley Children's Healthcare, and The Wonderful Company. Additional support provided by from the Maddy Institute, the Public Policy Institute for the Valley's public universities. This is the Maddy Report with Executive Director of the Maddy Institute, Blake Zante.
Welcome to the Maddy Report. Today we're joined by Josh Fryday, who serves as the Director of the California Governor's Office of Service and Community Engagement, or GoServe. Josh, thanks for joining us today on the Maddy Report. Really appreciate you being here.
So fun to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you in the San Joaquin Valley. Would you mind opening up, telling us more about yourself and how you initially got into public service?
Well, I was very lucky. I had a chance to serve when I was very young. When I was 17, I did a program where I spent a summer in the Dominican Republic working in a small village with no running water, no electricity, speaking only Spanish. And I got a chance to serve, to help, to do community sanitation work. We built an aqueduct in a community that had no running water. And what I got to experience was the joy and the happiness of serving, of giving back, of contributing, and the connection I felt, and I got the bug. And so then I had a chance to continue to serve throughout my life as an officer in the Navy, and then as mayor of my hometown, and now I have this incredible opportunity to serve the whole state of California as our Chief Service Officer.
Now, talk a little bit about GoServe. It was established fairly recently in 2024. Can you tell us more about how this office sort of came about and what specifically does it do for California?
Yeah, the Governor's Office of Service and Community Engagement is really trying to think about how do we engage Californians differently. We know we have really big challenges that are facing our communities. We also know that we live in a time that's very isolated. It's very divided. It's very polarized. People are lonely. We have a loneliness epidemic in this country. And so the question that the governor and our office is trying to figure out is how do we engage people in a way that builds community, that brings people together, that helps people solve problems together and also empowers them to make a difference in their communities. So we've created service programs that I hope we get a chance to talk about. We've also created programs that make state resources more accessible in many different languages. We've created a youth empowerment commission to engage young people and give them a voice. And it's really inspiring, the work that we're seeing on the ground, and we feel like we're just getting started.
Now, we'll talk definitely more about the programs in just a moment, but maybe tell us a little bit more about your role as Chief Service Officer. What are some of your main responsibilities in leading the office's efforts to expand service and volunteer opportunities across California? And maybe a simpler way to pose that is, what does your day-to-day look like?
My day-to-day is I get to be with largely young people, but also Californians around the state of California who give me so much hope because they're stepping up to make a difference and they want to make a difference. I think that's the lesson that I've learned in this job is that Californians want to step up and help each other, and they haven't bought into the cynicism that we see coming out of DC and the skepticism that we see on the news every day. And so what I get to do is we built the California Service Corps, which is a bunch of programs for young people who get paid to serve in their community to make a difference. We've now built this program that's now bigger than the entire Peace Corps just here in California. We've also built out other volunteer programs like Californians for All and Neighbor to Neighbor program to engage people in their community to help each other. And I get a chance to work with them and learn and hear what needs they have and think about how do we get more people involved in our communities.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to diving into more of those programs in a moment when we come back. We're going to take a quick break, and then up next, we'll discuss some of Josh's prior roles and works before serving as California's Chief Service Officer. This is the Maddy Report. Welcome back. Josh, thanks again for joining us on the Maddy Report today. Really appreciate you being here. You talked briefly about some of your background, your story of how you got into public service, but I want to dive into some of the roles that you've held prior to this. You worked at Next Gen Climate, where you served as the Chief Operating Officer, or COO, and which focused on combating climate change and advancing clean energy policies. Tell us a little bit more about your role at Next Gen Climate, and how did this experience help shape your views on not only energy policy, but some of the other major issues that California is facing?
Yeah, I helped build and run Next Gen Climate, which at the time was one of the largest climate organizations in the country, focused on really how do we change the politics of this issue? How do we engage policymakers and decision makers to take this issue seriously? And the argument that we made at the time, which is borne out to be true, is that if we invest in clean energy and if we make clean energy more abundant, more accessible, it's not only good for the planet, it's not only good for our health, it's really good for the economy. And it's how we're going to drive down prices like our electricity bills, which we know are going through the roof right now. And so the question now is how do we continue to make clean energy more accessible? How do we continue to build it and accelerate it? And it's one of the things I'm most focused on today.
Now, you also, as you mentioned, were mayor of your hometown of Novato. Can you share more about what you learned as mayor, what you learned from that experience, maybe some of the leadership lessons? And then how did that role also shape your approach to community engagement and better understanding now your role at a statewide level?
Yeah, I loved being mayor of especially of my hometown. And when you're mayor, you have one job, which is to get things done. And that's where you're graded on. That's what people expect of you. And that's what I loved about the job. And what I learned about community engagement is people really do want to be engaged. And as government and government officials and as leaders, we haven't always made that easy. And so I've learned about how intentional we have to be about actually making sure we're reaching out and making government accessible and empowering people. So we created this program when I was mayor, where if you graduated from one of our high schools and you committed to 2 summers of service with the city where I was mayor, and you got into our local college, you would get a free ride. We called it a local GI Bill. You serve your community, we help you pay for college. It's this deeply American idea. And what we saw is because our young people were thirsty and hungry to want to be given the chance to make a difference, to be engaged, it was just incumbent upon us to give them the opportunity to do that.
That sounds like a great program. You've also been president of Golden State Opportunity, helping low-income families achieve greater financial stability. Can you talk about this experience and maybe what impact those efforts had across communities of California?
Yeah, so when I was president of Golden State Opportunity, I led the effort to expand the California Earned Income Tax Credit, which is generally considered one of the most important tools we have to lift families out of poverty. And this was focused on helping working families who are working hard every single day just trying to get ahead, but who are also struggling to make ends meet. And so we expanded the Earned Income Tax Credit to over $1 billion program, where now every year we put $1 billion back in the hands of working families here in California. And what I also learned is that just because we got that done and we got over $1 billion for working families, the work didn't end there. We had to actually then go out and make sure people knew about the program and signed up for the program and were aware of the program. And we had to make it easier for families to access those resources. And it's where I learned how too often government makes things too difficult for people to access, especially resources that are there for them. So it's an incredible program, and it's a program that's helped people across the state of California, continues to help people, and now we just need to make sure that's more accessible for everyone.
Thank you so much. We'll be right back after this to continue our conversation with Chief Service Officer of California, Josh Fryday. This is the Maddy Report. Welcome back to the Maddy Report. Let's talk a little bit more specifically on the key programs you mentioned at the beginning of the program that GoServe focuses on. Earlier today, you were also meeting with College Corps Fellows from Fresno State. Can you talk a little bit more about the College Corps program? What does this program do, and how does it fit in with GoServe's mission for folks who may not be familiar?
So the program that I described when I was mayor of my hometown, where we helped young people pay for college if they committed to serve their community, that has now become College Corps, where we now have thousands of young people across the state of California who are serving their community, making a difference, and we help them pay for college. And the way the program works is if you commit to 450 hours of service in your community, we give you $10,000 towards your degree. And that $10,000 is meaningful because that's how much a low-income student or a Pell Grant student has to come up with by either taking out loans, which is why we have a student debt crisis, or by working. So when I was a Pell Grant student, I cleaned golf carts at our local golf course. Now we have thousands of young people who are working in our food banks, who are tutoring and mentoring our low-income students, and who are taking climate action every single day, including here in the Valley. It's one of the programs that we're most proud of, and now we just need to continue to scale it to give more young people the chance to make a difference in their community.
Well, it's certainly a great opportunity to teach young folks about the value of community service, and also with Fresno State having the Richter Center for Community Engagement, I know it's a huge part of Fresno State's focus and mission as well. You also oversee Cal Volunteers. Why is it important for Californians to get involved and engaged with their communities? And what impact does this have on our state and local communities as well?
It has a massive impact. Listen, if for us to solve the major challenges facing our communities right now, facing our state, we need to mobilize our most important asset, and that's the 40 million people that call California home. So we need people engaged in an active way. We need people not just helping out with our food banks, and not just, especially now during this time of need. We need people helping out in our parks and taking climate action. We also need tutors and mentors. We have a severe shortage of tutors for our students who need that individualized help. So we need people to step up. We also don't just need them to step up because it makes a difference in the community, but it's because of what people get and from when they volunteer, which is they get hope. They get connection, they get to be part of something, they get their own community. So it actually helps everybody when more of us step up to volunteer. It makes all of us happier and stronger.
Certainly helps build a better California. What other youth-facing programs does your office oversee in addition to some of the programs we just talked about?
In addition to College Corps, we also oversee the Climate Action Corps, this is the first Climate Action Corps in the country, was created here in California. We created it, and we actually piloted it here in the Valley, and it was so successful that it's now spread to 12 other states, and we also had become the model for the American Climate Corps, where we pay young people to organize in their community to make their communities more sustainable and more resilient. We also have the Youth Service Corps, and this is really an opportunity for non-college track youth that might have a hard time getting hired because maybe they're foster youth or formerly incarcerated, and they need a second chance. They need an opportunity. We give them that opportunity, not just to have a paid job, but to see their value to society, to see that they have something to offer and to contribute. And we have our AmeriCorps programs that are providing really important educational resources here in the Valley. So altogether, all of these service programs is what adds up to be bigger than the entire Peace Corps just here in California alone.
That's a huge impact. How can Valley residents get more involved in these programs? You talked about how some of them were piloted here in the Valley,
Yep.
and are very active here. But if you're a Valley resident or even a young person tuning into this program, and you want to get more involved, how can you do that?
Well, you can go to californiavolunteers.ca.gov, and we need you to get involved. You can get involved either by stepping up to become one of our service members. You can get involved by joining our neighbor-to-neighbor network, where we're calling on neighbors to step up, especially now with what we're seeing in the federal government, to protect each other, to help each other. And you can help us spread the word. So if you have a family member at home who needs help, or who can either needs help or can volunteer, can make a difference, tell them to sign up with us, because we need to recruit everybody.
Thank you. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back after this to wrap up our conversation with Josh Fryday, Chief Service Officer for California. This is the Maddy Report. Welcome back. Josh, thanks again for joining us on the program today. Before you go, I'd like to talk a little bit more broadly about issues at a statewide level. We've talked a lot about your experience, some of the programs you focus on in your current role. But as you look ahead, what do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges for the state of California?
I think it's clear that we have an affordability crisis. Since I was born in 1981 to today, the cost of a home, the cost of an education, the cost of a new car, the cost of food has all doubled, even when you adjust for inflation. So the truth is that working families are being crushed right now, and we have to address the affordability crisis to continue to make California the kind of place that I got to grow up in, to create opportunity for everybody. We also know that we're under attack right now from this administration. And I think we have to be vigilant about one issue that's very personal for me, because I'm a military veteran, is the illegal and I think appalling deployment of the military on domestic soil. And we have to be vigilant right now. We have to stand up, as I've done, to say this is not how the military should be used. The military is here to protect us. It should not be used to instill fear into our communities. And so we have this moment right now where we have to both protect California and we have to make California more affordable.
Now, you talked a lot about your experience engaging with communities, both in your own local community, but also at a statewide level. California is a big state with a lot of diverse geography, diverse communities, populations, beliefs. How do you plan to stay connected to communities across the state and ensure their voices are represented at the state level?
Listening is the most important thing a leader can do, because we know that all solutions, all good solutions, come out of communities. So it's why GoServe has launched a new program called California Connects, where we are bringing together literally hundreds of nonprofits and organizations and leaders across the state of California, including here in the Central Valley, to figure out how do we collaborate better? How do we connect? How can communities access resources better? How can we be a better partner at the state level to communities on the ground where the rubber meets the road and where families and people are impacted the most? So what we're trying to do is build the civic infrastructure that allows us to be better partners, to be better listeners. And we understand that engagement never works as a one-way street. It has to be two-way, and that's what I'm committed to, and that's what we're building out throughout the state of California.
Now, before we conclude the program, what's the key message you want to leave with Valley residents before we wrap up today?
The key message is that we believe in the Valley. The Valley is a beautiful place. The Valley is a place that embodies the spirit of service and community that we're trying to export across the state of California. And it's why we want the Valley to succeed, and we value the partnership so much. Since I've started at GoServe, we've invested over $100 million into the Valley just to engage communities, empower communities, to help our young people and create opportunities for them. And that's just the beginning, because we know that if the Valley succeeds, California succeeds.
Well, Chief Service Officer Josh Fryday and Director of GoServe, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate you being on the Maddy Report and joining us here in San Joaquin Valley.
Super grateful to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning into the Maddy Report. To learn more about the Maddy Institute, visit themaddyinstitute.org. What makes a community thrive? How do we bridge the gap between government and policy and the people it impacts? The Maddy Institute was founded to answer questions like these, to create a link between government and the citizens it serves, and to inspire a new generation of leaders dedicated to public service. In 1999, the California legislature unanimously established the Maddy Institute in honor of former California State Senator Kenneth L. Maddy. Senator Maddy was widely respected for his commitment to bipartisan solutions and his dedication to the people of California's Central Valley. Known for his ability to work across the aisle, Senator Maddy believed that effective government begins with respectful dialogue, evidence-based policy, and a commitment to the common good. Today, the Maddy Institute continues his legacy. Our mission is threefold. 1, to promote more effective and inclusive government. 2, to encourage civic engagement. And 3, to conduct research on key issues impacting the Central Valley. Through these efforts, we aim to educate, inspire, and empower the next generation of public servants and community leaders. One of the most impactful ways we fulfill this mission is through our internship programs. Each year, the Maddy Institute provides opportunities for students from the Central Valley to work in legislative offices, both in Sacramento and Washington, D.C., as well as local government agencies. These internships give students real-world experience in policymaking, allow them to see government in action, and help them build the skills they need to make a difference in their communities. But the Maddy Institute isn't just for students. Through our civic engagement programs, we create opportunities for everyone to participate in the political process. From community forums to workshops, we bring people together to discuss important issues facing the Central Valley, like water management, air quality, economic development, and education. These events foster open dialogue, allowing citizens to engage directly with policymakers, experts, and others, creating a stronger and more informed community. And to ensure the public stays informed, the Maddy Institute produces the Maddy Report, a weekly public affairs broadcast that covers the latest issues impacting California. Each episode features interviews with lawmakers, journalists, and subject matter experts, providing insights and analysis on topics that matter to our region. Whether it's understanding new legislation or exploring solutions to local challenges, The Maddy Report is a trusted source of information for those who want to stay engaged. At the heart of everything we do is a belief that good governance requires an informed and engaged public. From nurturing young leaders to fostering dialogue, the Maddy Institute is dedicated to creating a future where the people of the Central Valley can thrive. Join us as we continue Senator Maddy's legacy. Together, we can build a brighter future, one informed and engaged citizen at a time. The views expressed in the Maddy Report are those of the individuals participating in the program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Maddy Institute. If you'd like to share your thoughts about today's episode of the Maddy Report, please visit our website at maddyinstitute.com.